10 people who became famous after death. 1. Stieg Larsson. Larson wrote The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. It was the first of 3 novels in a series, but it was due to the movies that it became popular. The 2011 adaptation made $233 million at the box office. Larson experienced none of this success. He died of a heart attack in 2004 at 50. He didn't even live to see the first book published. 2. James Dean. The iconic actor wasn't all that iconic before his death. He died at 24 with just 1 released movie. 2 more pictures were in production. Rebel Without a Cause came out after Dean's fatal car crash. He became the first person to be posthumously nominated for an Oscar. 3. Vincent Van Gogh. Van Gogh only sold 1 painting during his lifetime. He used oil paints, which took months to dry. Van Gogh was very protective of his work. Only his friends and family knew about it. When Vincent died, it fell to his brother Theo to popularize his work. Theo Van Gogh died 6 months after Vincent. 4. Jeff Buckley. Buckley only released 1 album during his lifetime. Grace was universally panned on release. Then he drowned at 30. More music was released posthumously. Grace is now considered one of the defining albums of the 1990s. 5. Herman Melville. Moby Dick is now required reading in schools, but it wasn't this way when Melville was alive. His epic novel came out in 1851. It was overshadowed by Typee, Melville's debut. Typee was critically acclaimed, but Moby Dick was panned. Melville died in obscurity. 6. Emily Dickinson. Dickinson was extremely introverted. She actively shunned publicity. Dickinson refused to publish her poems. Out of 1,800 works, she only published 8. The rest only saw print. After Dickinson's death, they've been republished countless times since. 7. Johann Sebastian Bach. Bach's compositions were largely ignored. He composed more than 1,000 works, but they were rarely played outside of religious services. Bach was mainly known as a talented organist. Felix Mendelssohn revived interest in his music in the 1820s. It was almost 80 years after Bach's death. 8. H.P. Lovecraft. Lovecraft is almost a household name these days, but during his life, he couldn't support himself through his writing. Lovecraft mostly did stories for small pulp magazines. He died in 1937, never achieving recognition. His work took off thanks to DC Comics. They based their Arkham Asylum on Lovecraft's creations. 9. Franz Kafka. Kafka's ideas were too controversial for his time. He spent his life in obscurity, constantly rejected. Kafka asked his friend Max Brod to burn his manuscripts when he died. He died of tuberculosis at 40. Brod ignored Kafka's dying wishes and published his work. 10. John Keats. Keats died from tuberculosis in 1821 at 25. The poet's works were poorly received during his life. He wrote the best of them in his final months. After Keats's death, he remained obscure until as late as 1840. When his work was rediscovered, they became instant classics.